You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have some special guests in the building. Now, this documentary made me tear. I couldn't watch the whole thing last night.
Wow.
It was that strong. I don't even think I got 20 minutes in. Well, we have Jason Pollock. Did I say your name right? Mm-hmm. And director of Stranger Fruit, which is a Mike Brown documentary. And we have his mom. And your name is?
Lezley McSpadden.
Lezley McSpadden.
Now, Envy expressed how difficult it is for us to even watch this story, how difficult it is to keep telling this story.
It's very difficult. It's difficult to relive this story every day, that Ferguson will not hold these people accountable for what they've done and what they continue to do. So it's very difficult.
I think you have to, though, and I know it's hard because there's so many facts and so many things that we didn't know. Yeah. All we heard was, Mike Brown charged the police and the police shot, but just seeing the detail and so many witnesses, and I still can't understand how they, I want to say, got off, because it was so many people that said, I seen this, I seen his hands up, the cop ran past me, the cop shot him, they kept, I
even
got
the cop not
two young
making a
boys,
statement right afterward and never having even submitted a statement.
Correct. Yeah, and they didn't write a police report until they were forced to, and then they produced a document that was basically blank. It's a blank incident report. However, during the fake alleged robbery, and Mike didn't even rob the store, now we know that, but during that, the police report is a full page. So they were able to think of all these words to write for the fake robbery to frame that. But then when they kill him in the middle of the street, it's a blank page.
They kept changing the evidence too, right?
They did. They changed the evidence a lot. And I'm going to break some news right now. So you talk about the charge. What has been totally unreported is that there is physical evidence at the scene that Michael didn't charge. What Bob McCullough mayonnaise is trying to do is use fake witness testimony that isn't really reliable to prove that. But the physical evidence defeats witness testimony in the court of law, I thought. So here it is. There's an audio tape of the shooting. It's 6.3 seconds from the first bullet to the last bullet. So we know that the whole event was 6.3 seconds. There's blood behind Michael's body on the street in the report. This is all like New York Times. You can look all this up. Right. 21 feet and 7 inches. Okay, so for the first time, we're going to do this math together. 21 feet and 7 inches, 6.3 seconds. Means he moved forward at 1 mile per hour, approximately. That's it. He didn't charge him. That's Darren's entire argument, that he had to kill him because he was being charged at. Michael didn't charge Darren. He moved approximately 1 mile an hour, and the physical evidence showed it, and it was completely covered up. And no one knew it until now.
Even if you're being charged at 21 feet away, that's a long way away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't seem like you're not in immediate danger.
Right, but he only moved forward that in 6.3 seconds. If you charge 21 feet, you could get there in probably about a half a second.
And that's after being shot one time.
Think about
it.
No,
yeah.
after being shot 5 times.
After being shot 5 times.
Yeah, he was stumbling forward, dying. He was falling forward, and he got shot in the top of the head.
He wasn't standing. He was on his knees at that point. And he was falling forward with a broken clavicle bone. And he shot my son in the top of the head. And it came out his eye. He was never scared for his life, Darren Wilson. He ran after my son. He pursued him. He was shooting like a cowboy between 2 apartment buildings that hold over 100 people, including children.
Ride their bikes.
They didn't even count all the bullets. They did a very poor job of investigating.
But why? Because I'm watching it, and there was 2 young men out there that day. Why your son over the other kid? What was his why?
Why my son at all?
Exactly.
Why all this training that they're claiming to have, and that he said kicked in? We saw none of that.
It shouldn't be anyone's son.
Thank you.
Well, it always pissed me off because they put out that corner store video, the surveillance from the store, and acted like he robbed the store as if that warranted him being gunned down in the middle of the street.
Yes.
Right. But in addition to all of that, just besides that, I think what was important about watching this documentary is seeing all the great things that he was doing and seeing what he was doing in school and hearing from his family, because sometimes they try to make somebody just seem like a monster.
They did.
And the way the press did that and the media and the police officers, what they put out, made it seem like he was a scary kid, he was a bad kid, he was doing bad things. But then you get to see what he was really doing in real life, and that's important.
Yeah, that's what
It was very important.
That's what I was saying. How did that make y'all feel, like when they was trying to paint him like that?
It upsetted me, but I knew the truth, and I still know the truth to this day. And that's where my book came into play, to share who my son was over those 18 years, and to give you all a different perspective from this 18-second clip that they showed, which had another video attached to it that no one had ever seen until Jason put the video out. I had a meeting with the governor, and he told me he tried to stop them from showing the video.
Why?
This is the governor. Why? These were his words to me. He said that if there was video when he was 18, he wouldn't be governor. Meaning to say that at 18 years of age, you're
That's
still
Jay
a
Nixon.
kid, your mind thinks in a different way,
Absolutely.
and that people do things and they make mistakes that later on in life you regret or you feel sorry about. And you say, when I was young and dumb, I did X, Y, Z. So that was his purpose for saying it, because himself did not feel that what happened on Canfield should have happened.
What happened to all the witnesses? Because there was 3 witnesses that y'all talked about. Then there was the
There
construction
are 5
workers.
witnesses in the film.
So what happened? Like,
Yeah. So
It didn't
basically,
matter?
Bob Mayo covered up all those witnesses, and the prosecutor of St. Louis County very carefully took all the witnesses that were in line with Michael, and he picked them apart and figured out a way to use the physical evidence at the scene to say your version of events doesn't match up with the physical evidence, so we can't use it. 13 witnesses agreed with Dorian in the street. He threw them all out. Anyone that agreed with Darren's, he cherry-picked pieces of theirs, even though parts of theirs also were against the physical evidence.
3 people. Three
Right.
people, one being Darren himself.
Right.
One being a witness who completely lied.
It's just a
That was
cover-up.
never there.
It's just a huge, massive cover-up that they needed to perpetrate on America in 2014 because they need to keep Mike Brown's name down, because they don't want to say that everything that happened after Mike Brown is valuable. They want to say, oh, it started because of a thug. It started because of a robber, all this stuff. Look at them all in the street. They're so silly. No, Mike Brown was an angel, and he was a great guy, and he had just graduated high school. And all of that was a lie, and it's still a lie to this day. That's why it's so important that we uncover justice for Michael Brown, because that was the first hashtag in 2014, before Ferguson, before all the other hashtags. But we lost justice for Michael Brown. And the Ferguson Report came out, and the Justice for Michael Brown report came out, and everyone talked about the Ferguson Report, and no one talked about Mike anymore. And that's when we started making this movie, because I realized down there that there were all these films going on, but nobody was working on the Mike Brown case anymore.
Jason,
sadly,
what's
it's
your
a-
personal connection that made you feel like you had to get involved?
I had been working in schools that the education community calls dropout factories prior to Ferguson for 3 years. Dropout factories are a school with a 50 to 60% dropout rate. There are tons of these in America. And so I was working with all these kids in these credit catch-up rooms, which is in the film. And they were the best kids. If you're in a dropout factory and you drop out, but then you go back to try to graduate high school, you're a rock star. You have so much thick skin because some complex stuff happened to you. So I found out Mike was in that room, and he had just graduated. And then I saw the picture that they were painting of him, and I just knew it was a lie, because I had been working for years with all these students. Like, if you're in that room, there's no way you're robbing stores at night. There's no way you're doing any of that. There's no way you would charge a cop after you are shot. There's no way you would go for a cop's gun. None of it made any sense, and all of it is a lie. Like, to go back to the convenience store tape, they didn't show us the full tape. There was a whole tape the night before of Mike making what seemed to be a trade with the store and then going back the next day to get
I
his
saw that.
cigarellos.
Yeah.
And we put that out last year for the first time. They covered that tape up for 3 years.
They willingly gave us the CD from the store, the people in the store. It was never part of any of the evidence. They never turned it over to St. Louis County, Ferguson, any of the lawyers. They just gave us personally the CD. Say, here you go.
What did the owner of the store say about that day? Or did he?
The
The guy that was in there.
I'll just say that the store never called 911. The 911 call was made from a woman in the store who didn't know what she was seeing. To this day, the store has never called 911 on Michael Brown.
Nope.
Because they know, in my opinion, they know what it was. And to this day, they still don't want to just admit what it was.
Yes.
It's interesting how you said everybody kind of like moved on, but I wonder about that. Is it because other things happen, like other police shootings and
Absolutely.
Like it's like every day it's a new hashtag.
Yeah, Freddie Gray, Walter Scott. I mean, it's intense. But if we don't, what I want to do with this is show that if we don't actually unravel these cases, if we just keep going to the streets and then losing and then going to the streets and losing, like it took me 4 years to unravel this case. That's what it takes to do these cases. But we need someone assigned to each of these hashtags now so that we turn justice, because cops need to know that if they shoot and kill us, that they're going to go to jail. And right now, they know they're not going to go to jail.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, they don't know.
That's right. They don't know at all. In fact, they know that the system is going to protect them at all costs.
How does that change, though?
Because we get justice for one. We get justice for Mike. We show that Darren is a criminal. And America starts realizing, oh, shit, these guys are criminals.
So what can happen now, if anything?
Legally.
There is a lot of new evidence in the
He
film.
was never charged. First, we need to get him charged.
I thought his case got dismissed. I thought they wrote it off as like
They declined to indict him.
yeah.
Correct.
That was the first thing from Bob McCullough. The second was they wouldn't bring him up on any charges because he said the whole thing about the physical evidence. We hired so many people to come out and that were specialists and professionals, and this is what the film is showing you, that they did a lousy, lazy job of investigating because they were never going to indict him, prosecute him at all. It wasn't even a thought of them, in their mind. So hopefully we can get a reopen.
Is he still an officer now?
No.
What happens to his bitch ass? Like what happens to people like that? Do they go in like a witness protection?
He's living 25 minutes away right now.
No.
Having fucking barbecues. And imagine what that's like to be the mother of your son, knowing that the killer of your child is having barbecues 25 minutes away from you every day. And she has to drive by that store and drive down Canfield. I mean, the pain that she is going through, I cannot imagine. And she bears this for all of us. She doesn't have to be here today. This is hard for her to discuss this. She's here for us so that we can try to help the world understand what happened. And by understanding what happened, I think it will be a tipping point in our culture.
How do you feel about I don't even want to say his name, but Darren Wilson?
Who?
True.
Yeah. I don't feel anything about him, for him. I know people tell me all the time I have to forgive so that I can move forward, but this isn't someone that was a part of my life or that I loved and cared about.
Talk about it.
I don't have to forgive him.
Forgiveness is overrated. I say that all the time. I'm perfectly fine saying fuck somebody.
Thank you.
I don't do nothing. You got to do it for yourself. I'm fine.
I am. And,
Lezley, how hard is it for you to live there still, and even for the witnesses that came forward? Because I'm sure the police department I know they're known to give people a hard time.
I've never lived in Ferguson. Where I was staying was about 3 minutes away from the scene of what happened. I recently moved, and when I recently moved, I found out that he was 25 minutes away from me. I've been very disturbed since finding that out. I'm from the hood, and I know that this isn't a physical fight. This is a mental fight. And I will rise above this, and I'm going to look them in the face every day if I'm elected to city council, and I'm going to run. And when I get back home, that's the first thing on my agenda. And that's the only way I'm dealing with it, in a spiritual way, and I'm letting God be my God. I lean into him more every day. I've been given so many false promises by men, people here and there saying I'm going to get justice, and we see what has happened. A lot of those people have walked away from their positions since then. I ended up with a old white 72-year-old judge because 2 black judges in St. Louis recused themselves from the case. I've been given a really hard time, and but God brought me to it, and he's going to bring me through it. I've been strong up until this point. I've been a strong person my whole life.
Amen.
Why did they recuse themselves from the case? They scared of the white man?
Why did they? You know, they asked me to be on a panel with these very same women in May of last year. And I think they were a little nervous about what I may say to them because they wanted my remarks before I entered the panel.
Wow.
So I declined it. I'm sorry. And I don't know why they did that, because we speak education in Black households very strongly for reasons like this, for when times like this happen, that we can be there for one another.
I mean, that's the whole point. I thought the whole point was having
Absolutely.
people that look like us
Absolutely.
represent us in those courtrooms, and the fact that when we have that opportunity, they don't want to stand up. It's like,
They didn't.
what's
They
it
scared.
for?
They scared to upset their master.
Mm-hmm.
So they left.
And now you received your diploma.
I did.
Congratulations. You
Thank
said you want to
you.
do that for your son.
Yes.
That is big.
What are your plans for Ferguson if you do make city council?
Well, you know, I've never been on city council. I've never been involved in anything political until this happened with my son. I just want to show them how it looks to be completely affected, and nothing happens afterwards. And that mental illness it's real when something like this happens to you. And why does he get all the protection and we get absolutely nothing?
Or
My lawyers walked in there with the best presentation, and they came back and they offered us money. And at that point, being down to our third strike and not winning anything in the beginning, knowing that we would walk into this courtroom and look at the same jurors that decided not to indict, they wanted to take the settlement. So with that settlement, I'm going back and fighting again. And I just want to show them what change should look like for a community who has been shook into the core, and you all didn't come back and try to even put a Band-Aid on it.
and you might as well get the money. I mean, the money, like you said, it enables you to continue to fight. 'Cause,
It does.
that legal stuff costs.
Yes.
And to
We
run
had
for
some of
city
the best
council.
lawyers.
Let me just say something about the money, though. These settlement fees, I call them lynching fees, because that's all it is. There's no
Yeah.
price you can put on these lives. It doesn't change a damn thing.
You're right.
And this is just the state paying off families for state-sanctioned murder, because there's no justice. They're lynching fees.
What's your background?
So I started my career working for Michael Moore. I made Fahrenheit 9/11 with him.
Salute to Michael Moore.
I founded the Traverse City Film Festival with him. Also, just shout out to Zilla Valentine for hooking this up. I really appreciate
Blockzilla,
it.
yes.
And I've been in the industry since 2003. So, it's like there's no such thing as overnight success, right? I've been doing this for 16 years. I left Michael in 2006. I directed my first feature documentary is called The Youngest Candidate. It's about teenagers that run for office in America. I profiled non-white men running for office in the age of Obama and used that as a tool to get the youth vote out with Rock the Vote in 2007, 2008, and the rise of Obama. And then throughout his career, I was working in schools, like I was saying, and I run a creative agency, helped celebrities with their digital media strategies and all that stuff, and was developing my next documentaries when Ferguson happened. And I basically had all these clients. I was so mad, and I felt very alone as a white man being mad. Nobody around me even got it. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is like the defining moment of our generation right now.
What did they say when you bring it up?
I've lost a lot of friends from this, from
Really?
well, yeah, my not friends, like white acquaintances. Like, I make them all feel very uncomfortable now. They don't want to hear me talk the way I talk now. But like, I don't have any time for that shit, and we have a lot of work to do over here. So basically, I put my stuff in storage. I moved to Ferguson. I didn't know what I was going to do. As a white man, I was not going there with a Christopher Columbus type attitude on the white horse to save the day. I was quiet. I was an ally. I was part of the community. I was helping and listening. And about 8 months in, I realized, you know what? No one's doing anything about the Mike Brown case. And I can take that lane, and people won't feel like I'm taking up space or competing with something else, basically. So I put together this proposal for the family, and I pitched it to Lezley. And she signed on in May of 2015. She gave me the rights to produce the movie.
Now, you
Lezley,
seem
was it
very,
hard for you
very
to-
genuine and sincere.
Was it hard for you to accept
you do.
Jason,
Thank
Lezley,
you.
at first when he came to you? Because I'm sure it's hard to trust people, especially you had a lot of people coming at you with different things.
Like, who is this colonizer?
Yeah, hell yeah, I get it.
Jason was one of the only person to actually come to me with paperwork and a full layout of what he wanted to do and how he wanted to help. There's a lot of people out here who have done things and they do not have my permission. They didn't and they don't. So I appreciate Jason for what he has done.
I was meeting Beyonce.
You was in the video. You was in the Lemonade movie.
Yeah. It was wonderful. I couldn't take it all in at the moment because I was still very vulnerable and kind of broken all over the place. But she's a great person. She comes to you just like a sister or like you've been knowing her for a long time. And so was Jay-Z, Swizz Beatz, Alicia Keys, and all the other people who have come to show me some love and shed some light and let me know that I can do this. And, they're there to support me. Yes.
We look forward to supporting you. Anything you need when it's time to run, you come back up here and
Absolutely.
we'll help you as much as
We
we
got to
can.
get Stranger Fruit to #1 on iTunes.
All right.
And we gotta
For
do this
Mike
well.
Brown, for
It's
the
out
family.
right now?
I
out.
donated. I donated most of the profits to the family already. So if the film goes super viral, it will help the family and bring justice to Michael Brown. That is the vehicle of Stranger Fruit.
We want more people, as many people as possible, to see it.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I ain't gonna front. I just get so fucking mad when I watch them.
The first 20
I
minutes
can't
swear
watch
the
it.
hell out,
It's,
man.
it's too emotional
It's
for me.
the
Yeah,
whole
very
thing
emotional,
is bad, but we need to know what happened.
'Cause
We
it-
need to know.
Because it's not isolated incidents no more. You see Stephen Clark, like it's always something.
It's
So it's
always the same model too. Like this
Yeah.
film shows you the whole model of how they do it, and it's the same thing every single time.
I do want to ask you though, Jason. Like, how can more white people use their privilege to combat prejudice in America?
Don't just say, "Oh, I know what white privilege is." Oh, I'm so fucking woke. You're not woke. You're woke if you go out and you work hard in the community with your hands and your brain and your mind, and you shut up and you listen and you assist the people that know what they're doing. And you're not woke just because you know what the word white privilege is. You have to use your white privilege to break down white supremacy in an aggressive way. And I'm trying to do that every second of the day right now, and I'm trying to lead by example because you know what? I'm like 0.00001% of the society right now. And that's why I'm so upset about what Kanye West is doing, because Kanye West is allowing little white teenagers who don't know shit, who are calling each other the N-word in high school, to think that's okay because Kanye likes Donald Trump. And we're out here trying to say, no, that's not right. And I see Michael Brown and justice for Michael Brown directly connected to the ignorance that's happening right now. Because all those little white kids with their Yeezys on, they think that Michael robbed a store and he charged Darren right now. And they're running around saying that. So we have a lot of work to do. White people need to wake up. I think the biggest problem in this country is not Republican racism, it's Democratic racism.
Break it
It's
down.
white progressive racism that's hurting us the most. I respect Republicans being like, I'm racist. Look at me, I'm racist. I have a problem with Democrats looking me in the eye and saying I'm not racist and then going and living their lives in an incredibly racist way. And if we don't fix that shit, Donald Trump is going to win again in 2020.
That's the conundrum, because some people are looking at what conservatives are doing and they're like, well, at least they being honest, but that don't mean you should go side with them.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? You shouldn't go side with them.
That's right.
Because they're being honest about racism.
No, but I respect honesty. I wish the Democrats were more honest. If Democrats were more honest and said, you know what? We have a racism problem. Black community, we're sorry about that. We have a racism problem. We want to figure this out. That's honesty. We could build with that. That's not happening right now. We got the DNC running around like they think they know what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing. Like, I don't consider myself a Democrat after 2016.
Me neither. I'm registered as
But I'll
independent.
tell you, I'll vote for a piece of grass over Donald Trump right now.
Piece of grass.
And we need to make sure that happens. So anyone
No,
saying,
I don't want a piece of grass running.
Yeah, I don't know.
listen,
You never know. It's 20 years.
listen, this guy is so dangerous to our culture. I work with a lot of undocumented students.
Right.
He announced no DACA on fucking Easter. And all of my Hispanic students were crying in church. And then Kanye West wears a Trump hat. So don't tell me that like we're okay right now. Because when you look at the pain that he is inflicting in the human way on our society, no, there's no accepting that. And I would vote for a cloud over Donald Trump right now. Wow.
And Lezley, and part of what you're doing will be the solution, running for city council and being a representative for people that have gone through maybe things you've gone through, or have family members that have, or friends that have, because we need that type of representation, somebody who really cares
Yes, ma'am.
about their own community that wants to make changes.
That'll be me.
We appreciate
yeah.
you guys for joining us. You got our support.
Absolutely.
When the running happens, you call, you come by. We will support you, and you as well, Jason. We
Also,
appreciate you.
we're
We
out
need
on
our lives.
Stars June 18th.
Yeah.
Oh, the
We're on
documentary?
The
Okay,
television
okay.
premiere. So we'd love to come back, give you an update. We're
June
going to be
18th.
running the movement from
Come
then.
up.
And love to give you
It's
guys
always
an update.
interesting to hear stuff like this, because I always think about that Martin Luther King Jr. quote: "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." I don't feel like people really embrace that. At least white Americans.
Correct. They don't feel it. But you know what? A cop could kill me too and get away with it. Cops don't kill white people, but they could. The laws are the same. Until white people feel threatened by it, they're not going to wake up. They don't even realize what cops are doing to the black community right now. So we need to understand, like, you know what? If you're white, they could kill you too. Guess what? We live in a police state right now.
Right. Don't be so far removed that you feel like it doesn't affect you until
That's
it
right.
does.
That's right. Yeah. And don't wait. Don't wait until it knocks on your door.
Absolutely.
Well, there you have it. Jason Pollock, Miss Lezley McSpadden. We appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you so much. And check out Stranger Fruit. When does it come out one more time?
It's out right now on iTunes, Amazon, VOD nationwide. Please download, rent it right now. Profits go to the Brown family if we go super viral. And then we have our television premiere on Stars June 18th.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.